this is Jessica Lynn from Jessica Lynn Original, and we are now going to be making this adorable card featuring one of our brand new stamps, which is from Flynn's Puppies. It is a brand new set that is available for pre-order today. It includes this other adorable corgi. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I did was I went ahead and tried to pick some more masculine papers, because we're going to be using this adorable lab from the stamp set. In case you haven't seen the stamp set that we're getting ready to launch right now, it's called Flynn's Puppies. It also comes with this adorable corgi and the pug, as well as the lab. We're going to be using the lab for the card we're going to be creating this time. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and got my papers all organized. I used this paper stock called Warm and Cozy. I've had it for quite a while. When I'm making cards, I really like the 6x6 size, because I can go ahead and just make one card and be done. Now if I do swaps, I like the 12x12 paper just because I can usually cut out all of my cardstock using that larger sheet. I like this one because it reminded me a little bit of Chip and Joanna Gaines with their shiplap and all of that. So I went ahead and decided to use that as the bottom or the base of my card. And then I'm going to use that red plaid for the pop of color. I couldn't decide at first whether I wanted the shiplap to go vertical or horizontal, and I was flipping through channels and sure enough most shiplap is horizontal, so that's why I went with this. I'm going to go ahead now, this is my cheater way just to kind of go ahead and get that base done, because now I can just cut it out perfectly and it's already glued right to my cardstock. As always, I encourage you to always sign the back of your cards. The next thing I do is I got out my Cuddle Bug. And I have been obsessed with die cutting lately. So I'm using a large rectangle from Cat Scrappiness. And it's the same one that I used, if you watch the corgi video, to cut out the blue colored base that I created for that card. So what I did was I went ahead and took the large rectangle, and you can see I just put it down on the red paper. And then I found a heart-shaped one. Now what was kind of cool is that the heart actually fit perfectly within the rectangle. So I was able to kind of find that center. I went ahead and I put the boards down so that I could run it through. And as you can see, I'm actually using 2 dies, 1 cut, so I was able to do what I wanted without having to cut multiple times. So let me go ahead and just pull this off my Cuddle Bug so you can see what I'm talking about. What I really liked about cutting both of them at the same time was that I knew it was lined up exactly how I wanted. So let me go ahead and just take these off the Cuddle Bug, and I'll put my Cuddle Bug away really quick. Alright, so when we take a look at this, you can see there's my frame and my heart. Now what's kind of nice is it has beautiful crisp heart-shaped lines, very nice. And now I've got this little heart that I can use again for another project. Remember earlier I did tell you I keep all of my scraps so I can use them for another time. Alright, so now we've got the frame, the heart, the extra piece, the two are going to go into my little scrap bin for future. and I'm going to go ahead and start to assemble the card. To make sure that the card stayed nice and closed, the shiplap looking paper was very thick, so I went ahead and just used a little piece to just sort of press down and make sure there was a nice crease on that fold. So now you can kind of get an idea of how this is going to look. What I wanted was you could see the shiplap through it, you could see the nice little plaid. I thought the plaid sort of felt like maybe like a dog bed. That's what it looked like to me. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and use my favorite foam risers, and I am going to pop up that red plaid. So now I'm going to go ahead and just remove all the little sticker backs and get those all thrown away, otherwise they end up all over my craft room. And now I'm going to just line it up, make sure it's a nice level, and I'm going to go ahead and push on those foam risers so that it sticks. And look at how cute this looks. So it's got, again, some nice dimension. It's very similar to the card that I made for the corgi, but I wanted to show you that you can punch out different locations throughout the cards to give it a different look, but still sort of live in the same family of cards. So the next thing that I'm going to do, there's my adorable pup. So that's how he's going to kind of fit in there. And I am going to put him on foam risers because I want to have some dimension around him so that he's not just flush or hiding in that little hole. To color this adorable pup, I am going to use my Copic markers. I have a huge bin that I just sort of dig in. I tend to lean toward the W grays, the warm grays. I think they just have a nicer look to them when they color. Now with this, you could use brown to make a chocolate lab. You could use some tan colors and make a yellow lab. You could even use dark gray and black and make a black lab. We personally have two dogs. Both of them are mixed with Border Collies. One is a Border Collie Aussie and the other one is a Border Collie Lab, although it really just looks like a big lab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do his color pattern. We've had him for 13 years. He's our adorable Strider. And he is black and white. Basically, he looks like a lab, all white, with black markings around the face, similar to a Border Collie. So I'm going to go ahead and color him in. A lot of times when I'm coloring, I'm going to start with the lightest of the grays and build up, because obviously if you start with black, you can't go back. Once you put the darkest tone out there, it's really hard to fix. So I always start with the softest of the grays and then sort of build up my color palette. Often when I'm coloring with my Copics, I don't sometimes even go all the way to a black Copic marker because it is so dark. So if I was going to do a chocolate lab, for example, I would probably go no farther than a W7, which I would build up the color just like this, because they would almost be, you would understand that he's black, but you wouldn't have to see that he's such a dark shade, because then you would lose all your details. Very similar to a chocolate lab, I probably wouldn't choose a dark chocolate brown color. I would probably build up with more like a sand color just to go ahead so you get the idea of like a yellow lab. And I'll make another card soon with that. I just wanted to start with my buddy. But just know that with the Copics, always start lighter and build up your color, because otherwise you'll lose too much detail in whatever stamp design you're working with. Coloring in the eyes is a whole nother thing. What I have started to do that has been really successful lately is to do a lighter color up on the top part of the eye and then do a darker color down at the bottom. And what I find is it makes the eyes just have a little more three-dimensional color to them. So I'm going to go ahead now that I've used this orangey tan color, and you can see I'm going to just pop in a little darker color. Let me flip my marker over here. And you can see by throwing that little darker brown underneath, it's very similar shade, but look at how much more dimension that eye has. It's really sweet looking. I'm going to go ahead and continue coloring in the toy like a red color here because I thought that'd be so cute. It'll match the little dog bed that I created. I decided that using just red wouldn't be right, so I wanted to use a little of this orange color. So you can see what I did is I just put a little bit of this reddish orange, and then I'm going to grab my orange marker and I'm going to blend the colors together. When I do that, it gives this little squeaky toy such beautiful dimension. Alright, so now that I've got all the shadowing done on that toy, I'm going to go ahead and just trim out this little extra here. Again, if I had to use my brother's scan and cut or one of those, it probably would have been perfect all the way around, but I went ahead and just fussy cut it. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab 2 more foam risers, and I'm going to just pop those on the back of this adorable Strider Lab puppy. And I'm going to go ahead and center that right in the heart. What's kind of fun is I'm going to leave it so that he's over the top of the heart, but yet he's still three-dimensional popping through. Now my initial instinct was to put a sentiment on this, but I just really love how simple it is, and I think his eyes, you could kind of see his heart. This is our dog Strider, so I just wanted to show you, since I talked about him being a Lab Border Collie mix. You can see he's all white with beautiful little black face markings. He is 13 years old and he is the sweetest dog I have ever known. We have been truly blessed to be his puppy parents. So I wanted to dedicate this card to him. Well, thank you so much for following me on this card, and if you're interested in subscribing to our channel, I'm going to pop a little Brentwood up. Please go ahead and click on that and subscribe. And if you're interested in picking up this stamp set, it's available at JessicaLynnOriginal.com, and it's called Flynn's Puppies. If you just type in puppy, you'll find it too. Thank you again.